want to talk now about body image, because that's obviously a huge thing. And, you know, a lot of the time it is both boys and girls, but girls suffer a lot with that. It's getting younger and younger. You know, a friend of mine told me the other day that her daughter, who's not a teenager yet, came home and said, "Mum, like, is my nose okay?" And she said to her daughter, "Yeah, why?" And the friend of her daughter said, "Are you happy with your nose?" And these are like 8-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's social media. It's in our face all the time. Having to be perfect looking, you know, unrealistic. As we said, there are like filters, and it's just, you know, it was so hard when I was a teen. Like I struggled through that time as well. You know, it was all about being skinny, and everyone just had to be skinny because we went through that waif movement. It was the Kate Moss time. But now it's just like your face has to look, everything has to be perfect. What do we do?
Oh, look, I think it goes even earlier than that, because when I did that survey for girlhood, early childhood educators told me little girls are fat shaming other girls in early childhood. That's under 5.
Wow.
So we learn this behaviour. I love it with Taryn Brumfitt said, no one's born hating their body. And I think it's one of the biggest jobs we have to do, because it's like there's only one way. And we have to celebrate from as early as possible all body types. And not just that, it's not what our body looks like. And the same with boys. For boys, there's a huge uptick in body image issues because of six-packs and things, because they see more of these things online. The fact that that the algorithms are wired to ensure they see nothing but that content, that is really ethically something that disturbs me to the fibre of my being, because that means big tech earns more money because they see more content, because you tend to stay online with negative stuff. So that's why we have to have these awkward conversations from very early ages, saying that we don't have a right to judge anyone else, and that, you know, the process of us growing up is it's what our body can do. Right? And is it healthy? You know, that's the biggie. Even, you know, we're trying to counteract a big thing that happens in the female psyche, which I read about from an evolutionary biologist once. He said that as we get to be in breeding ages, which is, you know, puberty and beyond, we are biologically wired to be in competition for the best male partner for who we will breed with. So some of it comes from at that deep level. But I think when we, and I know you interviewed Jonathan Haidt, but when he shared that story of the girl who had not got social media for a long time, and then when she finally did, she had those 2 weeks where, oh my gosh, I can see what my friends are doing, we're sharing ideas and it's super good. And then the algorithms kicked in and she saw things like all of the skinny stuff, but all the self-harm, all the stuff that said, you know, this is what you do when you feel lousy and this is how you starve yourself. And then she suddenly realised it's a trap. So I think our awareness around it is changing. I also know that like the whole kind of digital space needs a moral revamp. Like if we could convince them, you know, to change the negative content our kids see, we would improve the mental health of all of us.
I know. It's full on. But because now it's not really changing, what do we do if our daughter comes home and says, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, and then we see like unhealthy patterns in eating and things like that? What do we do?
It's one of the topics we tackle in the book, you know, because there's all these big ones. What do I do when? It's how we have that conversation as well, because if we come in too scary, we're going to push it underground, and also we're going to make her feel even more shamed, which means she's probably going to do even more of it. So what we do when we come alongside it with great curiosity and compassion is we probably would say something like, I have noticed, you know, I'm just a bit curious, I have noticed that you're not, you know, your eating patterns have changed. Is your tummy okay? Is it upset tummy? Is it, you know, let's go for an angle of is there something in your tummy that's making you feel a little different? But also then we would go, and this is a really common window where body dissatisfaction has always been a thing, particularly for girls. So let's just focus on the girls bit. But I just wanted to know, can we have a conversation about it, and can we just read some of the best material out there? So one of the biggest motivators for the book was, I want parents to know not to go Google randomly. I want you to know to go exactly where the very best well-credentialed sites are that will give you the reasons to be concerned, what are the steps you can do, when do you get really worried. And I love the fact that once we come alongside our teen with this and say, it was really hard, I can still remember not liking my body, and that war that we have inside us, there's also a part inside us that we have to learn to love. And that's like the whisper, the quiet part that says, hey, let's just be us. Let's be me. There is not a competition because every single one of us is a unique one-off. But what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on what brings you joy in your life, and let's together work out how we can create a healthy diet, and you can help us cook food together. There are times your kids may want to go vegan or vegetarian or something. And once again, it's an autonomous choice, and we need to see that, okay, let's see how that goes, rather than don't be ridiculous, that's too complicated in our house and whatever it is. They don't always last. So again, we've got to honour the fact that they're using their autonomy to make some choices that aren't going to cause harm. Versus, do I stand by, panic, make it worse because I'm going to be screaming at her, you need to eat more? Yeah. And I just, my heart aches in that space because the two things that came up from the research, particularly for girls, even though it's increased for boys, was self-harm and disordered eating. Because in that space, if I have told myself that if I am thinner, people will like me more, and I believe that, then I am motivated to do that. So one of our biggest arguments is that, our capacity to love, we just already loved you. Oh. Right? We love you when you muck up. We love you when you're this. We love it. Our family is capable of more than that. But there will be lots of dramas that are going to happen in this window until your brain is more mature to understand that you are being manipulated and that this stuff isn't about health and well-being. This stuff is about telling us there's only one way to be a girl or a woman. And there are times when I'm being served by a young lady or something, and I look at those eyebrows because some of them are really interesting. And I just try not to look at it because they look weird. But it was a trend, right?
Yeah.
And some of them, whether we've had them completely lasered off in order to be tattooed. Okay, that's, we're wired to follow the sheep because we want to belong. And then so if the rest of our friends are doing similar stuff, it's a really courageous teen who can be the outlier.
Listener.